Yeah, real quick for everybody who was on the other live. My bad. I clicked off of that one by accident, trying to, click a damn notification, and I cut out real quick. So my bad for that. So if you guys was in the last live stream and cut off, I had to do another one. So I'm back on. Thanks for following me over here. Um, the last live stream I upload, so it'll pick up from here. So my bad about that. I was trying to do some ship the notification and cut it off by accident. But thanks for joining me back here. Yeah, so I was talking about the doing more videos on Buddhism, and it's so much that happened back then. I'm trying. I'm in a process now because it's a lot of books I want you guys to read. That I mean, I have so many books. That's why I had the whole book section on Merkabah Academy. I just never really had time to get around to it. But there's a lot of books I want you guys to start reading. I'm gonna start doing videos on these books because it's a lot of rare books that I have. I'm realizing now that they're rare books because you can't find them no more. I actually sold a couple books that I had, copies I had, because they were fucking super expensive. And I was like, what? I got multiple copies. And I was selling like 12 books that I had that was like worth a lot of money. But it's a lot of books you guys got to read because I don't think that information is going to be around for a long time, especially the Hebrew is Greek book. You can get the PDF on that, but I promise you everything is not in those PDFs, especially the pictures, because I know they can't use them all. But I'm going to really get into a lot of these books I want you guys to read. That's a lot of information that makes so much shit make sense because, I mean, that's how I really came into this information because a lot of the books, that's where they hide everything. Everything is hidden in books. They don't want to, you're not going to see a lot of this shit because people don't read books no more. But a lot of these stories and where people get a lot of the information from was from a lot of these, I'm gonna say 13th century books. Right around that time, when the Renaissance was going on, when everybody was really trying to figure out religion. I mean, so many books was written about the past. Like I think people really started to understand what was happening, and they was writing about it. And a lot of people wrote manuscripts. Um, they wrote books before, they knew what was going to happen with before the printing press. You'll call them a manuscript now. You didn't get the printing press till later. But it's a lot of those manuscripts that people later made into books, taking that information. And a lot of that information is good to have and know because it gives you a different view of the world and how shit was back then and what they changed, especially the religious part and what people thought about religion. So I talked about what the Geneva Bible, and the Geneva Bible had the annotations in there, the little footnotes, because they knew that the Bible then, and this was just widespread, everybody knew this back then. The Bible was up to interpretation. It wasn't teaching that shit as being history or historical. That's why they had the notes in it. It was all known amongst the people that this is a possibility of something that could have happened. And then to most more people, they knew it was parabolistic. It was parables and it was shit that didn't really happen that they was basically, looking into or basically saying what if. And it was like, okay, there was these huge discussions and forums on the religion. Like, what was Jesus trying to say in this book? Or what was the message in this book? And that's how they talked about it. They talked about these different things from the Bible as if there's a message to it. And this was going on for a long time, and they stopped all that. And then anybody who did this again, they would call them like the heretics, the people who had criticisms on the Bible, and you could get killed for it. So they stopped that shit altogether. So it's so many books like that that's out that's giving you more insight into the religion back in the day and the stories that a lot of people put out as far as what's going on this planet, because that was like a big deal. Was no TV, was no sports like that. Everybody was just trying to figure out what the fuck was the point. What are we doing here? Who put us here? How we got here? And everybody that was the intellectual, that was their focus. The universe, the stars, they talked about all that. And, that was what was going on more so than anything else. Let me see. House of Dragons. Yeah, I need to watch that. A lot of people put me onto that. Coach Tough, what's the deal? My brother. Let me see. Yeah, the last show I cut it off by accident because I was trying to uh, dig into this notification. It's important, and I accidentally hit the cancel button, the done button. So my bad. Yeah, I talked about that in what's that? What's that? Who's that? Hoop Daddy 7. Yeah, and Saturn Satan. No, not Saturn Satan, and that's God. I talked about the IYXY, why they use that. Supposedly the abbreviation theory for Jesus Christ's name, because supposedly it was too holy to say Jesus' name. People wasn't allowed to back there to say his name. And like I said, that's some bullshit because if and that tells you one that the Bible was different back then. The doctrine was different because now in our King James version, speaking Jesus' name has power and it's holy and you're supposed to do it. Versus back then, you weren't supposed to speak his name. So that tells you that it was different, a different teaching back then because they considered it to be disrespectful to say his name and they wrote it different. Whereas the doctrine today, oh, Jesus' name and Jesus' name we pray and everything like that. So that tells you it was different. As I say to the Hebrews, Deuteronomy 28 and the older manuscripts is completely different. Oh yeah, who was that? Somebody asked about book, God to God. So I talked about this. I put out the emails to everybody. If you got God to God, if you guys didn't get a refund already, if you're waiting for that book, as I talked about, that whole thing is in court. It's a whole situation with that we're waiting on. I'm going to win this court case. I already know. And once that's won, I can put this book out. I'm not. There's no way. These people have already did me dirty so much. Y'all have no idea. There's a lot of personal information I won't put out, but it's so much shit that happened to me over this book that it's crazy. And people are really fucking greedy. I sent this woman a letter, respectfully, asking her to use the content that her husband put out in the book because it's a lot. And it's a real deep, it's a major part of my book that's kind of focused around this. I can't say the person is yet until all this is done. And respectfully, I put everything out and this and that. And this person basically called me a nigger, you might as well say, and disrespected the hell out of me. And it was a little back and forth and it got ugly. But this person got a little bit of pull and they kind of rallied some other people against me that I had already got permission from to use the book. And they basically tried to get money from me for what I put out. So I had to stop. I got a cease and desist and I had to stop. Not only that, but I couldn't put out anything that I used or mentioned these certain people in for this court case. So there's a lot of shit with it, but it's almost over. I'm going to win it because I won the last one. She kind of almost on the same shit as the other people. But yeah, so this is what happens when you submit to academia and when you try to do the right thing. I wanted this book to come out. I could have just put it out and said nothing to nobody, but then I'll be liable later on. If you do that, you lose. There is no court case. You use somebody's content without their permission in a book that like this and you putting out for sale, you're gonna lose. So I did the right thing because I know how this shit work. I went to law school. So this is the situation with the book. If you didn't get a refund from your bank or a refund from us, if you're waiting, which I love and appreciate everybody who sent me emails that can wait. I appreciate it. You guys gonna get the books. There's no way I would just, people fucking delusional. Like people got these whole conspiracy shit in their head that I'm here to jack people out of fucking books. Like one, it's not that deep. It's a book. You're gonna get it. And I appreciate people who wait and I understand the frustration. I'm frustrated too because it's costing me money. And then it's going to cost me more money because then I got to ship all those books out. Not only that, I'm going to have to pay for them again, my own dime. So once that's done and I can do it legally with a peace of mind, and I have to worry about nobody coming behind me. Because what they want me to do is be cautious. I mean, be careless and put it out. So then they got me in court after that. Once it drops, they got me in court. So I had to hold back. There is not nobody who has that book. Nobody has God to God. Nobody got that book. People got other books that they order, but God to God, nobody has that book. Like I said, I showed you guys the prototype copy. I had to rewrite it, which is almost done now. So I have a backup. So if any event I lose, which I don't think that's going to happen, I have a backup. But if I win, then I can put the book out the way it's supposed to be put out. And then what I was just saying earlier about books, I want you guys to read. You'll see in this book, because I have a lot of that shit in there. So the stories I was telling you guys that I read, that's going right now, I have a lot of that in God to God, because these are stories that I can't believe. A lot of researchers, I think R.A. Swallow-Lubix and George G.M. James. It's only like 4 scholars that I've researched that actually talking about these stories, and that's big. That only certain, like, you guys got to remember, we're in new knowledge right now. Like, all this shit is old knowledge, but as far as it coming out to the world, it's new. It's a lot of shit people just don't know. Like, us being conscious, we know a lot, but most of the world have no clue about the Septuagint, about freaking Ptolemies, and all this shit we talk about. They don't got no fucking clue. So when people come into this knowledge, it's hard to find it. One, it's completely new knowledge to most people, and it's not a lot on it no more, because they're getting ahead of it, and then they're going out and they backtracking and wiping out this information. So to me, going forward, my legacy, what I want to leave behind, is this information. Because now a lot of people, by the time you guys figure out, or when people figure this shit out, everything's going to be gone. So we got to have somebody to leave these books behind with this information in it, to get people into the right understanding of what the fuck is going on and how to put these pieces together. Because I envision a future where this shit is going to be completely done and over with, and nobody's going to know or even care about the past. But I think it's important for spiritual reasons for you to absorb this information going forward, because without getting too deep into it, it's going to help you with that whole wheel of reincarnation shit, which I talked about before. It's the other way around. The Greeks invented Hebrew. Yeah, I did. It's a video I have on YouTube. I think it's called Human History and the Origin of the Races. In that video, I discuss the mutation. I talked about Dr. Keith Chang and Dr. June Lee. Keith Chang being the geneticist that did the research on the zebrafish, that figured out that a mutation occurred that turned dark skin into light skin. And then I showed on Instagram, I think I did it in one of my YouTube videos, but on Instagram I have the video. It's probably like, what, 4 or 5 TEDs now about this information, because now they're putting it out because they want this whole mixing to happen. So now they're putting out the information that Africans was here first, and completely wiping out the whole Neanderthal theory. Excuse me. How do you make money from sports betting? Sports betting, I've been doing this shit like my whole life. I've been sports betting. My uncle used to bring home like office pools, and used to give us like 20 or 100 bucks if we won. And like being a kid and then picking some sports teams, and then winning, and your uncle bringing you a bunch of money, that shit stick with you. So I've been like gambling like my whole life since then, and been doing pretty good with it. And sports betting, a lot of it is luck, because you just don't know. That shit is rigged. I don't care what nobody say. So it's not a coincidence that you have all these leagues now, WNBA, NFL, in bed with the sports books. I mean, and they telling you, it's open, it's public, that they have these contracts with these sports betting companies. And to me, that's a big fucking conflict of interest. But you got to understand how much money, because they're not being real about it. It's hundreds of billions of dollars being traded, billions a day. they're not leaving that shit up to chance. They're not going to leave that up to chance. They're going to mess with that. And the fact that one, the sports booking apps are down with this whole thing, that tell you who owns them and what's going on with it. But picking these sports a lot of times is political. You gotta look at certain shit. I just got like a feel for it. So I've been doing okay. The most I've won sports bet was 102 grand on a 15 leg parlay. So you can do good. You can bet $5 and win 300,000 sports betting on a 15 leg. Like, it's just how lucky you get and what you pick. So I bet every sport. I don't care what it is. I watch all sports. I don't care what it is. I keep up with all that shit. And yeah, you can make good money with it. If you know how to pick them. I think the Phillies lost yesterday to the Pirates too. I don't know what's going on today. I haven't watched the game. It's fresh off an All-Star break. People rusty, or like they ain't getting into it. We still number one right now though. I use BetMGM. I use when I'm in California, I use FanDuel, which FanDuel to me is the best. BetMGM got their shit together, so they're actually really good now. But because I'm in Nevada right now, that's the best one to use. It's BetMGM. When I go to Cali, then I use FanDuel. So yeah, it's a book called Hebrew is Greek by Dr. Joseph Yehuda. Joseph Yehuda in that book 100% proves that Hebrew, as well as Arabic, comes from Greek. And we already know that 15% or more of the English language is from Greek, and that our alphabet is from Greek. As I talked about in That's Game video, I was reading Greek. You'll see those letters, epsilon and the E's and the G's or what have you, corresponding to Greek, because that's where it comes from. But in that book, he proves that, one. But two, everything about biblical religion starts with the Greeks, plain and simple. So we get the Septuagint from the Greeks. There's no proof, even though they tell you that the Old Testament was written in Hebrew, there's no proof of that. And this is me answering the question from somebody who asks. This is somebody who doesn't watch my channel, so I'm going to explain real quick. It's important. But yeah, you have Ptolemy II Philadelphus basically give us the Septuagint. I'm not going to get too much into it because it's a lot. And that's from the Septuagint is how we get everything else. So we get the Syriac Peshitta, which the Septuagint is in that. We get Vetus Latina, Latin Vulgate from St. Jerome, which St. Jerome completely changes the Septuagint. And that's where a big problem comes from, because this dude, St. Jerome, took it upon himself to completely change what we knew back then the Septuagint was. And it's to the point where it's known. I mean, we talk at that time, we had more of the Septuagint. We got a fragment left. I think it's like 2 shards that's left. But there was a lot of controversy around it, and that's why people didn't really like the papacy and Rome and all that stuff around that time, because of the changes that was done to the Septuagint. And then they carried it over when we get the Greek manuscripts into the Vetus Latina, Latin Vulgate, and then all the codices written in Latin. So again, you got to think about, if God inspired this, Old and New Testament, this writing of the biblical stories or what have you, why didn't God preserve the stories? Why don't we have the originals? Why we got so many copies and copies from different people, different stories, different accounts, or what have you? So you got to look at that. It's a lot with that shit. But long story short, it comes from Greek. Everything starts with the Greeks. We don't get a Hebrew manuscript until the 11th century with the Masoretic text. And the Dead Sea Scrolls, as I talked about, all suspect. Every Dead Sea Scroll in museums around the world have been proven false, a fake, forgeries. That's been in the news. I talked about that before. So we don't even know what's up with that. Supposedly, we do got some real Dead Sea Scrolls, but they won't let nobody look at them. So that's something to think about. But that's supposed to have been written in Hebrew and Aramaic, but even still not dated before the Septuagint Greek. So yeah. I'm all out of PS5s. No, MMA is fighting, man. I mean, well, when you got fight, especially with boxing, I think boxing more than ever now, we've seen a lot more rigged boxing matches, which that's easier to do because a rigged fight can be an agreement between A and B, can be just an agreement between the fighters, and that's up to the person, the fighter who takes the dive to take the money or not. So that can be very discreet or what have you. We don't know. So it's hard with MMA and boxing to see if somebody's throwing a fight, which MMA, this is why Dana and them is the way they are because of that. The fighters don't get paid as much as boxers do, one. And two, you better be, if you're gonna throw a fight, you better already be a star. So that means you got your money and you cool, you good to go, which is why I trust MMA. Because if you're not one of the top guys, because it's scrambling, Sean Brady, I know Sean Brady, he's from Philly, he's an MMA fighter. So you better be climbing up that ladder and in position if you're going to throw a fight, because they don't like losers. They want top fighters, and if you do throw it, you better throw it last round and it better be a good fight, because they're not going to give you fights. It's tough to get fights. People, it's not easy. So, yeah, I think MMA is good to go straight with that. I think boxing, certain fighters I will look at funny if they fight, because it could be, some rigging with that whole shit. I was just talking with somebody about the whole Ryan Garcia thing. What I thought on that situation. This dude basically committed career suicide. If you guys didn't see his live and him basically saying how he don't like black people and how he is the KKK, then he stood on that shit the next day. He's, I'm not apologizing. So supposedly he apologized to his baby mom, but he didn't apologize to black people for what he said, even though every time I see this dude, it's a black person around him. So that's weird for him to come out and say the shit that he said, not even understanding his own DNA and what he is. You Mexican, bro, you got some African in you. So just ignorance, drug use, liquor, booze, whatever you want to call it, still, that dude is done. He's done. And I think that fight with him and Haney was a real good fight. On PEDs or not, he whipped Haney's ass. So, it is what it is with that fight. But still, you're cheating, you're cheating. Yeah, meditation. Like I said, meditation is, I've been meditating for what now? 17 years now, I think it is. Long time. So meditation is an important part of my daily routine, just life period. And you got to do it. I mean, especially if you're a person, if you're dealing with stress or you really focused on trying to do something big in life and get your shit together, meditation is important. And as I broke down the meditation videos, you guys really don't think too deeply about it. It's not tough at all. And meditation, all you're doing is focusing on what you want to do in life and seeing yourself do it, and focusing on what you need to do in each step of the way. So again, if you're trying to save up money to get a car, when you're getting paid and all that, just you focus on that. In meditation, you focus on, I'm going to save this amount of money by this date. I should have X amount of dollars to get this car. And you stand on that. And then as you focus, and even when you go to sleep, as you land in the bed and you're going to sleep, just be thinking about what you want to do, the steps you need to take, every day, tomorrow, the next day, to get to your goal. Focus, dwell on that, think on that. And as much as you do that, you're programming yourself. You're programming your consciousness to walk in that path. That's what it's about. So when you mix that whole understanding with the parables of the Bible, that's what Jesus is telling you, going in, that Jesus, as I said, Jesus is you. That's you telling yourself what you want to do, telling your Jesus what you want to do. Because at the end of the day, if we all gods and somebody helps you, the person who you try to get a job from, the employer, if he hires you, that's a God that still gave you, that job. So thanking God, when you say thank God or thank Jesus and all that, which is why all the rappers who understand the Jesus and all that representation, that's why they wear the Jesus piece, because they understand it's them, it's a representation of you and what you can do. So in meditation, that's all you're doing. You're programming yourself to walk in that path that you set for yourself. So now, if you do it enough with meditation, your actions is going to start to dictate your meditation. You understand? It's like setting your reflexes. So instead of you, when you go out and you see some shit that you want, and then now you don't buy it because you already programmed yourself that you got a better agenda, a better plan for that money, so you won't buy it. Versus the person who is not programming themselves, being hyped that they got the money in their pocket, they're going to go and buy it, and then they're going to have regret later. Like, damn, why did I buy that? You know what I'm saying? I should have fucking saved that money. I didn't really need that. They're going to have that regret later on versus the meditator, the person who's been meditating on it, to already not even look at that shit, to keep walking knowing they got a higher purpose for their money. So meditation is for that purpose, one, to program yourself for just life goals, one, but to also is to help you stop being tricked in the dream world. Probably all of you are all still being tricked by the subconscious. After a while with meditation, you will not dream. If you do dream, you pay attention to those. But what happens is when you go in the dream world, you believe that world. That world is real to you while you're in the dream. You believe that that is actually happening until you wake up. Then everything comes rushing back. Like, oh shit, I woke up, I was dreaming. But in the dream world, that world is real. And you got to ask yourself, like, what the fuck, subconscious? Why are you tricking me into making me believe that this is real when we could be getting some work done? Like, help me out here. Like, why are you tricking me? And it's because your subconscious, which is the all-powerful God power, that's what it is God. And then, Jesus would be you in the physical. Everything having to do with Jesus in the flesh and eating the blood of Christ, the flesh of Christ, is all representation of you being Jesus in the flesh. That's all it is. A lot more to that. But your subconscious is God. So when you understand no one can get to the Father but by me, that is Jesus saying your fleshly self, along with your consciousness, cannot get in contact with God, the God energy, but besides those ways, your body and your consciousness, which would be your body, you meditating into consciousness, and then your consciousness connecting with the God power, which would be you. As in the dream world, it's your subconscious projecting that dream world. But in meditation, guess what? It's you. It's you. So it's you thinking and dwelling on what you want and then creating that. So it's what's going to happen when you're doing that. You're going to start to daydream. Understand? Night dreams would be the God power. You don't control that. But a daydream would be you controlling that. Understand? And then you're controlling these thoughts. And as you're controlling them, you're going to drift completely into a daydream, which is going to be awake dreaming. And your consciousness, you putting out this whole fucking daydream of what you want and what you're trying to do. And I mean, I used to do this a whole lot when I was young, daydream. And then you snap out of it and it's like, whoa, like how fucking long I've been, staring at the wall. But that's you programming yourself. And then to anybody who has done this before, you understand what I'm talking about. It's real deep and profound. It's laughable today to a lot of people who don't understand how big that is as far as developing your spiritual self. Daydreaming is a big deal. You should do it more than you do. And daydream on shit that's going to benefit you. Don't daydream, don't waste that energy on nothing else. But what you're trying to do and accomplish in life, and you're going to start to accomplish that shit. It's that simple. Like, life is life. Shit always happen. There's a yin yang to it, but you don't want the negative parts of your life to be so big that it's fucking up your living. You're gonna always have problems. Billionaires got problems. People with money got problems. It's just easier for them to solve them having money. And it's gonna be the same way. You just don't want, everybody got issues. Shit happens to everybody. But you don't want that issue to be so big that it knock you out of your real spirituality and what you're trying to do. It just is what it is. So everybody got issues, you're gonna have a problem, but you can still go and the rest of your day and smile and be happy. Knowing these problems is something that's going to get solved. Plain and simple. Jamal, what's the deal? Rizzy Poo. Yeah, Ptolemy was one of the generals of Alexander. So when Alexander died, he basically split up the land between his generals. It's the Seleucid Empire, Seleucus and Antipater and all these other guys. There's so many of these people that I mean, a lot of those guys was wiped out by people under them because it was a big grab for the land because it still was higher ups. You know, it still was higher ups who understand what was going on. Those people were just like going for it, trying to get certain lands and territories. And again, it's one of those books where it's a book called The Forgotten Wars. There's a lot of forgotten wars that happened that has to do with Northern Africa, Europe, or what have you, and them being, because you got to think about it, them fighting, right? Who was they fighting? So when people saying, ancient Egypt was white, well, who the fuck was the fucking Greeks and Romans fighting? They weren't fighting white people, because how would they tell who they fighting? They weren't fighting white. They weren't fighting each other. So they had to be fighting. So all these wars that we seen from back in the day in the Forgotten Wars is who was the Greeks and Romans fighting in Europe. So it was black people. And that's, you got to understand that. It's the black people, the land they took from black people that they're describing in the Old Testament when they're talking about, the Hebrews going out and conquering these lands from the Hivites and the Jebusites representing these African tribes. But the Ptolemies is big. There's a lot of information on them. Angie, what's the deal? It's a big difference between spirit and soul. When you say spirit, spirit can be just you being in the flesh and using your energy. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times when it's like, people say, oh, yeah, have a good spirit, keep your spirits up. It's just you using that energy to motivate yourself more so. But it's pertaining to the soul, you using part of that soul energy to basically uplift your physical self. So that's more so spirit. Soul is your soul. It's what we really are, souls. When you die, that soul, the energy. So that's basically the difference. I mean, it's just in a way that they use it when people are talking about spirits and souls. Javier, what's the deal? Oh yeah, somebody asked about fasting a couple days ago. Fasting is important. That's one of the ways I lost weight. Fasting helps a lot. Intermittent fasting helps, and it's one of the things because I don't really get into food too much because it's one of the biggest fucking problems we got in this country. It's the food, and it pisses me off to no point that we can't get no remedy for this because the people are so fucking stupid, allowing this government to poison our food. So you can't even say to people unless you grow your own shit to, hey, don't eat this or eat that. Because when you start to look at the ingredient, I mean, if you got more than 12 things in your fucking food, it's probably a problem. And you need to understand what a lot of that shit is and how sodium is a problem. Look, listen, man, especially me having my heart issues and everything, when I went to to the hospital, I got the whole fucking heart surgery and all that shit. My shit is hereditary. My dad passed down some shit. Luckily for me, they caught it early. And I'm good now. My heart was pumping at 22%. I was fucking almost died just walking into the fucking ER. But sodium, that shit is the worst thing. When you look at the ingredients of something you buy, look at the sodium count. That's my everything right now. So if the sodium is higher than fucking 30%, man, don't eat that shit. Unless you have a really high metabolism. If you're already skinny, you're good because you're probably going to just burn it off. And some people like my brother been bony his whole life. His fucking metabolism is dumb high. He's just like a fucking skinny bar of muscle because his metabolism is super high. And no matter what he eats, he's going to burn it the fuck off quickly. And some people are that way where you're burning stuff so quick, it's not a problem. Now, if you have the time to work out constantly and you working out a lot, that's another thing. I mean, you don't want to put no crazy shit in your body, but it's not really going to matter what you eat most of the time because you're going to burn it off. your body is going to require you to have so much food and carbs to keep up that type of energy you're going to need because you're working out so much. So fasting helps, especially if you're not working out or if you're not eating healthy. I would highly recommend it because you don't, like, anytime you can give your body, and this is why it's important to get to the point. Like, one, anytime you don't give your body the time to process that food you ate the day before, it's going to store that shit, and that's how you build up fat. And that's not a good thing, especially if you ate something unhealthy. So it's usually not good to eat after 10 o'clock. They say 9, but I say 10 o'clock is better, more realistic. After 10 o'clock, you shouldn't eat because that's when your body factory starts processing food between 9 and 10. So from 9 o'clock, your body tries to start to break down all that food you ate. So by the time you wake up, you're energized because your body was able to complete that process. You'll know that your body completed that process if you're waking up and you're pooping. You're fucking good. Your circadian rhythm is on. You're good to go. If you're waking up and pooping, you're good to go. It don't have to be immediate, but I'm talking about if you're waking up and pooping in the morning, or let's say you wake up and you have coffee, which I don't drink coffee, or you wake up and you have tea or you drink something and you poop immediately, that means your factory is working right and you're doing what you're supposed to do. So when you fast, you skip a day, you're giving your body the time to catch up and process that food that you may have missed. And then you'll notice that day you'll poop a lot, especially if you drink a lot of water. And you'll be pooping a lot and you'll get it out. And it's good. It's good for the body. Fasting, it really helps. It works. I've been seeing the results myself. So I really highly recommend fasting if you guys can do it. I know a lot of people can't do it, but it's something you can work into your schedule. Yeah, it's harder to rig baseball because baseball is balls and strikes. It's the umpires. You got to watch them. And I've seen so many bad calls on strikes and pitches. I mean, that's just, it is what it is on that shit. But, I mean, you can't rig hitting that ball. You got to hit it, but balls and strikes, that's one way. But baseball is played on a Masonic square, and the Masonic square has to have order. You understand? So I would really look the other way with baseball unless they have pitchers in pocket, because pitchers can throw pitches, in the bad way, like, throw home runs on purpose. But still, you got to hit that ball. It's a lot of skill. There's not too much luck involved in it, except for the positioning of those outfielders. So yeah, baseball, it should be fine. Excuse me. Yeah, hell yeah, C.J. Smith. Hell yeah, Tyrone threw it. You seen a wave. You seen when he shook the glove. That was the call. He did the shake with the glove right before, and then boom, he threw that shit. Like, that's a dude who don't care. Money talks. Thurston, I've been back for a while. Thurston Howe. Thurston Howe the third. I've been back, been posting. Yeah, Ryan think he's a Spaniard. I think he said, this dude said so much crazy shit on that live, he had to be smoking something. Like, I mean, for him to say the stuff he said, like that was career suicide. It ain't no coming back from that. It would be hard to see him come back. I don't know what he would have to do to come back from that shit. I think he's done. I'm glad to hear that, Alchemy. Yeah, addiction is a crazy thing, but meditation definitely can help with that. Tony, I appreciate it. Facts by Tony. Yeah, I'm good. Like, it was tough. I've never been in the hospital ever before. Like, I was, except for when I was born. Like, I always had good health throughout my life. I'm trying to think what was the last time I was in the hospital before that shit. Probably for like a sprained ankle. I was on the basketball team. I sprained my ankle. That's about it. So, like, going to the fucking hospital, which I don't trust these motherfuckers already as it is. And yeah, it was one of those situations where I feel like this. It's kind of a joke. I think if a black man walk into the ER, he should get immediate medical attention. They should run to him because we don't come into the ER. If a black man walks to the ER and he don't look homeless, he's in fucking trouble. Like, he better run to that man, because we don't walk into the ER. And this is one of the things, like, nobody wants to go to the fucking hospital. But where I was at, like, you guys don't even know, like, I'm talking about brushing my teeth, I'm out of breath. That's how bad it was. And then they misdiagnosed me because I thought it was pneumonia. And that's what it felt like. But it wasn't. They did diagnose me with pneumonia. And I went home with antibiotics. And I was using herbs, for pneumonia, because I thought it was that. And I was getting mucus out. But the energy was not coming back. So when I went back, the cardiologist basically said, hey, I was diagnosed with CHF, which is congestive heart failure, onset, which is a terrible thing to have. But through a lot, thank goodness for Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi put out so much, and I know, like, all his research, so I already knew what to do. And it's, I don't want to give anybody wrong information, but it's a lot you can take to help reverse CHF. So when I went back, the doctor was shocked how much my heart went from 22% back up to 92% real quick. So I reversed it. You can reverse CHF and you can live a normal life. You can get your heart back on track. It's not, fatal as you might read online. You can get your heart back. It's just you. For me, the cause of it, what happened with me, was because it's hereditary. I had to really watch my sodium intake, and I wasn't. Living in Sweden and over there in Europe, living, abroad, I was eating what I want, and I was kind of used to that, and there was no issues. I didn't gain any weight. The problem is coming back here and eating this fucking American poison-ass food. You really got to be careful, man, and watch what you're taking in. And it's just like when you are on the go and you're doing so much, sometimes you don't have the time to really pay attention to the foods. Excuse me. You just doing what you got to do. And for me, because of genetic shit, I had a fucking my blood sugar, like my heart took a dive. It just was not responding well. And it was like a gradual thing. Like, I was good sometimes, and then it was fucked up. And then when I hit the bottom, dude, I couldn't even walk. Like, I was fucking, like, completely out of breath. I'm talking like, and I'm like, that's how it was. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? So I went to the ER, and luckily I did, because it basically saved my life. And once they took a look, I had the surgery, and now with surgery, like, they didn't cut me open. They actually go through your wrist. This vein leads to your heart. Same thing with your stomach, like right near your private areas leads to your heart. So like your heart and peeing and pooping is well connected. So they did put a little long fiber through my the vein that leads to my heart to take a look at it and make sure it wasn't any clogging or anything like that, which it wasn't. It was just, a weak heart from a lot of fucking sodium, sodium intake. And that stuff, that can lead to diabetes and all kinds of shit. So it was just a matter of me completely changing my diet and reversing the whole thing that really helped me out, because my heart beating was beating at 22%. And if I didn't get it to at least 30% within a month, they was talking about doing surgery and put like a fucking pacemaker or some shit in there, because that would have meant my heart was like beyond repair. So I got it back to normal and beating better than ever in like 2 weeks. So, the more you know. But yeah, I'm saying, good questions, guys, by the way. Yeah, dreams that have you tricked like that, that's all your subconscious. Your subconscious is that's his job, to trick you until you get right with it. And once you do that, then you're good to go. Like, what'll happen with dreams after a while, you'll get those repeated dreams. But what happened more is you'll start to become more conscious, aware of the dream. And then sometimes you'll remain in the dream a little bit longer. I remember when I first started remaining in the dreams consciously, I couldn't, like, I didn't know what to do. You know, like when you really think about it, that's almost like death. Cause it's like, what the fuck is going on? But it wasn't real long. I'm talking like 6, 7, 8 seconds. And then you're waking up or going on to the next dream. But I was like, what the fuck? So lucid dreaming is crazy. But the dreams you got to really pay attention to is the ones that you remember when you wake up, no matter what it is, because your subconscious is trying to tell you something in that dream you need to pay attention to, no matter how stupid it may be. I dreamed I was a fucking turtle before, a fucking Ninja Turtle. What the fuck was that about? I wake up. I used to wake up sometimes and be like, what the fuck is going on? Why am I dreaming about this dumb shit? You know. So what I did was, I forget what video I talked about this in. So this is what I did. This is what really helped me with dreaming. I made a tape. I made an audio tape, right? So I made an audio tape just basically saying you're in a dream world, and to focus on the dream world, pay attention to your surroundings. You're asleep right now. Do not wake up until you're recharged. You're in a dream world. Like, I made a loop, basically telling myself that I'm dreaming, this is a dream, and I will listen to that when I went to sleep, right? And that's what helped, because I would hear it. You know, you ever been sleeping and you leave the TV on and then you start dreaming about what's on TV? Like, you start dreaming about Seinfeld and you wake up, Seinfeld is on the fucking TV. You understand how that works? It's the same type of process. So making that audio tape and listening to it and bringing that within your energy, that knowledge, your understanding of you're in a dream world, it changes things. Because one, you're communicating directly with your subconscious, hearing that in a dream state. And then your subconscious is understanding that, damn, you are aware, which is good, becoming aware. So then now your subconscious can deal with you differently. And in most cases, it just basically cause you not to dream, you know. So that's a good thing to do. I really highly recommend that you do not fall asleep listening to hip hop music or any of this crazy audio shit. That's the problem with these generations now. People fall asleep listening to the most craziest music, and they don't even know why they're acting a certain way. You got to realize, this is why I talked about before, you got the Satan and the angel on your shoulder, because you are your own worst enemy. You are your own Satan, plain and simple. So just because you think that you're doing something and that's you got to realize you've been programmed by some shit to do some bad stuff. And a lot of times we don't realize it until the repercussions kick in and we getting our ass kicked, or we dealing with the consequences of our actions. Like, we don't realize that, damn, this music or this programming that I let inside me changed my thought process and the way I move and caused me to do some shit I shouldn't have done. You understand? And then we just let it slide because it's us. It's me. Like, I did the dirt. I did what was wrong. It's me. So the fuck what? I'm always taking my side. Now realizing you basically been possessed by a demon, which that demon would be metaphorical, of course, for that bad action. That's what all that shit means. Satan and demons. Demons are the bad actions that you commit coming from bad energy or bad thoughts or what have you that cause you to do certain things, whether it's an addiction or whether it's you cheating, whether it's you fucking doing anything bad or what have you. That's what it is. It's something you took in that caused that, you know, for you to do that. Because inherently we are all good people. Everybody is. You love your mom, you love your kids. Shit, like we all got that love within us. It's what we allow to possess us that causes us to do bad shit. And a lot of times it's for good reasons. People do bad shit. Like, if you go to the store, you steal some fucking diapers, the world considers that wrong. Not really, morally. But you had to do what you had to do. It's just that simple. That doesn't make you a bad person or an evil person. You just did what you had to do because at some point you made a bad decision that put you in that path of having to go steal. You understand? So it's a lot to that. Meditation is important. Sorry, I share you right on point, bruh. On point. I like that. Definite dream we're all the same. I appreciate that comment. Hold on one second. Frequency 396. Somebody was just talking to me about this. Saturn. Yeah. Yeah, good question. Considering flesh and matter, how much of that distorts our reality? It distorts it a lot. I mean, it doesn't distort our reality because our reality is the flesh and the matter. You know what I mean? That's our reality. But existence, as far as us being in the spiritual, is distorted because one, you dealing with this fucking matter, this primitive shit, and we got to deal with it. I mean, fucking walking and put. I mean, it's so low vibrational, and when we say that, excuse me, low vibrational, that's what we mean. We mean physical, and it's you're doing physical shit. And low vibrational can also be a thought, an energy, something that's going to affect matter. What it could be thoughts, energy, or what have you. All that shit is everything is low vibrational because that's where we are. So vibrating higher is like the concept is loosening or breaking away from the physical. You understand? You want to vibrate higher because the higher you vibrate, the more you shake off the physical. It's metaphorical. So we got to deal with this physical, materialistic world shit, and it's going to distort reality because trying to be spiritual and think in a spiritual way when you got to deal with this physical stuff is tough. The only place we see that real separation is in the dream world, because in the dream world you can defy physics and reality in that space. You've flown before in the dream world. You can't fly in this physical world. You've flown, you lift up cars, you shoot out laser beams out your hands, all kinds of shit in the dream world. All stuff that is possible in that dream world, which is not possible here because we're limited because of this low, slow vibration that we call material. The I'm gonna say the not ramifications, but the understanding of it all. Basically, what they're trying to imply is the possibility to basically bring the dream world into the physical world. Basically, having that power has to deal with unlocking the DNA in the mind, the brain, because we're talking about stories where people was flying and telepaths, like communicating through the. I mean, so much shit that we read that I believe was possible and they was doing, which because it would make sense. It's different now because our DNA's been changed, it's been locked off. How that was done has to do with a lot of different things. But I think now that they're changing our DNA. Everybody that's the nine. So the video I put out about the feature of nine, we are the nine. He was born 1999 and before. You are one of the nine. Our time is up. We did what we was here to do. We ushered in this next generation that is the next generation. These are the generations, this next generation that we brought in, like your kids and then their kids are going to be the ones that's going to be mixing with this new AI futuristic shit that's coming. And we did our job. So we're done. Everybody who was born before 1999, you will not come back here as long as you understand this knowledge, this information. You now have the ability to move forward and escape reincarnation, but it's the knowledge you need to gain. Before, it didn't matter what you did. You're coming back here. You're going to get reincarnated because it's all about getting people here. But now we basically been granted release from prison for serving your term, but you got to have the key to get out. You got to have this knowledge, this information to get out, because having this information, this knowledge, not being tricked by the dream world anymore, which I think we'll all get to that point. I mean, to be honest with you, I think at a certain age, except for those old Christians, when we get older, I think we all come to that understanding that this shit is some bullshit anyway. I think we all come to that point. And I forget what's his name. It's Yogi that was talking about just making it to the age of 85. No matter what happens in your life, if you live to 85 or older, like your DNA resets. I forget what video I talked about this in. And it's like a fail safe that was put into us, that if we make it to this certain age, then it resets, and then you don't come back here, you don't reincarnate. But I had this video. I did this video already. As a matter of fact, it's on reincarnation. I got to edit this video that I get into that because I want y'all to. I put him in the video what he's saying. I forget his name. Excuse me. But I want you guys to hear what he's saying and how much sense it makes, and it fits with everything else I've been talking about. Oh yeah, cremation, it don't matter. Cremation or being buried in the ground, no matter which one you do. I'm gonna be cremated. That's what I put. Like I don't want to be buried in the, just the thought of being buried in the fucking ground and you know just there for all that time to basically become what you're gonna basically be when you know get cremated. Now there is a whole understanding of being buried in the ground and eventually your body becoming you know part of the earth and you giving back to the earth. But it don't matter at what level you do that. Whether your ashes, the ashes just gonna be quicker. Whether your ashes or fucking being buried in the ground is basically the same type of thing. You know, when you really think about it. I mean, it goes back to something. Even though you can't see it, it's still microscopically there. It doesn't completely disappear. It just goes out of the uh, the visual spectrum. So it don't matter. It's not nothing. Because back in the day, the Egyptians went down with the bodies being wrapped and prepared for different reasons. And then after that, we seen burials and everything like that. But you got to remember, for a long time, everybody was burning. They was doing cremations. That's what they do in Buddhism. I went there to that place where they do the cremations, and I'll put it in the next Buddhism video. Me at that place where they burn the bodies in Thailand. So I was there, witnessed the whole ceremony and everything. So it's crazy. But it doesn't matter. You know, it's just up to you. You know what you choose. I mean, you're dead. It don't matter. Like, Alan, what's the deal? I'm glad you caught it. That's caffeine in coffee. Now, I don't drink coffee because I can't have. I'm G6PD deficient, so I can't have caffeine. So that's the only reason why. I mean, I can have it if I'm going to sit in the house and not move. I like hazelnut coffee, so like, but yeah, it's caffeine. Caffeine is like it's not good for your blood sugar. The Olympics is the Olympics. Like I don't bet on Olympic games or anything like that. Certain shit I just don't bet on. But you know, Olympics is the same every year. The Olympics is just giving you that understanding that they want this one world fucking government, everybody coming together. Bobby K, what's the deal? Yeah, I talked about the Trump shit. Like I elaborated on that whole thing. Like that whole thing is a setup. I mean, all you got to do is look at the videos. If you look at all the videos that came out with Trump surrounding that, the shooter climbing on the roof, the public videos they put out on that, the woman in the stand taking the video after the shots was fired, the synchronicity of the Secret Service sniper and Trump's reaction is off. Like is that shot? He looks up and he fires, and then you get the Trump reaction. It's off. There's no way the sniper facing that shooter should not have taken out that shooter long before he got a shot off. He was already facing him. There's no way he could not have seen him. If you're a sniper, you already know the layout. You already know where a shooter would take a shot from because that's what they do. They do the walk around. So him being facing where that sniper was at tells you that, okay, we did our homework. We know a sniper could be up here. He should already had his eyes fixed on that roof as soon as he seen that guy climb up there, which how the public see him but not the sniper. He got the best shot. Public right there, they filming the guy. How he not see him? He's a sniper. That's his job. So, yeah, it's just too much into it that we can see some bullshit that is staged. But, you know, no, like, and nobody. It just goes against protocol. You can read that for yourself as far as Secret Service protocol for assassination attempt on the politician or president is the same. You get them away from the scene. You don't get your head almost blown off and stand up and put up a fucking fist and continue to fucking take pictures and pose and everything like that, not knowing how big the threat is and there could be other possible shooters in the crowd. Who knows where? Your own fucking Secret Service members could have been then turned on you. Who fucking knows? You over there posing for pictures still? Like, come on. It's like, come on, it's common sense. Yeah, thinking positive is always good, man. You should never think negative for what? It's enough negative shit around you for you to not think negative. I talked about this before in a couple of videos. Not putting that negative energy or negative thoughts on yourself. You don't need that. One, it's gonna cause you stress. You don't need that shit. Why think negative? Now, it's the difference between thinking negative and thinking about the possibilities. When you think negative, that it's a negative way on your heart. Like when you think negative, it's a worry. It's, oh my God, this could happen. You feel that versus, possibly this could happen. And it's strategic. You're thinking strategically that, well, if this happened, what's my next move? Versus dwelling on a negative energy of something bad happening and being scared of it. You understand? Being positive is the only fucking way to go. People hate me for that shit. I'm always positive. I'm always looking for the other way out. And it's just the way to fucking be, because at the end of the day, if you can't control the outcome, you can't control it, why the fuck you want to sit around and stew on it? You understand? Why you want to stew on something that's going to be bad in your favor? Why you want to sit and dwell on it if you can't change it? Now, if you can change it, you got to focus on it, because now you got to figure a way out. You got to think about it. It's being calculating. But thinking negative and having negative thoughts, it's just dumb. There's no reason to have that when, if one, you can control the situation that benefits you, then just do that. But to just be in your situation, like if you're waiting for something but thinking negatively about it, it's not a good thing, because you're preparing yourself. You put more energy into the negative stuff happening, and you're telling your subconscious basically, I want the negative thing to happen. And that's what happens to a lot of people. Like you don't believe in manifestation. You don't believe in talking to your subconscious and having it do things for you. And then you dwelling on the bad thing, you're kind of giving your subconscious a bad signal and saying, I want this to happen. And I don't want you to think that your subconscious should already know, because it's you talking. It's like, I want this. And you like, it's like, well, you sure? Are you thinking about it so much like you want it? I'm gonna give it to you. And then sometimes it's good that bad shit happened to you, because it makes you stronger, puts you in a better position. I know so much bad shit that happened to me before was like the worst shit ever. But then when I came out of it, I realized, like, damn, I'm glad that happened, because it put me on my toes, or it made me look at shit differently. So look at it as if, when Christians say, oh, it was God's plan, or God did this, or this is what God wanted to happen. When Christians say that, there's so much truth to that, because a lot of times when bad shit go wrong, it's not God, biblical God, of course. It's your subconscious basically having to put you through something to get you the better outcome in life. Sometimes we got to go through bad shit for good shit to come. That's just how it is. But don't focus and dwell on that bad shit. Just like, always prepare for the worst, hope for the best. I'm trying to remember the name. I gotta remember the name of this, because I want to give out any bad advice, especially when it comes to medical shit. What is the name of this shit? I think it's Queen Anne. I forget. I'll do a video on this. I gotta talk about this, because there is a lot of herbs you can take to help with congestive heart failure, and a lot of people have taken this stuff and it worked for me. And the thing is, one, like, I already have like so many herbs in the house, and I have my regimen and stuff that I take. So I was like really caught off guard with the heart failure. And it's crazy, because, and this is the weird part about it, I was fucking fine, completely fine. My dad died, and then all of a sudden I get this shit as if it, like, what the fuck was that about? Like, that was the weird shit to me. Because it happened right after my dad died with the heart failure. All of a sudden I started getting this shit, like it would pass to me, like, what the fuck? So I was like really tripping off of that, like how my dad died, from CHF, and then I found out that I have it hereditarily, passed down, like immediately after. So it's like, it was fucking weird to me, and it really fucked with me, and it made me really look at shit different. But I was like, it was onset one, which luckily for me was onset. And I already kind of sort of knew what to do. And but at the same time, it's like, like, I don't like fucking taking medicine, man. I don't. Herbs I'll take. But the prescriptions that they give you, I mean, you can smell the fucking drugs and the shit. I mean, they just smell so bad. And for diabetes or what have you, and for heart failure, there's a lot of shit they give you, pills, and it's a lot of pills you got to take. I just wasn't trying to be taking pills for the rest of my life or for a long time. And once I seen, and then like you can't mix herbs, a lot of herbs with these pills, medications, another thing. So I had to just trust myself, you know what I'm saying, and trust what I know, and just stick to the herbs. And then like once I start seeing the results and getting my energy back and everything like that, it's good. I was like, okay, cool, I'm good, I'm on the right path. But in the beginning, I took those meds that they gave me because I had to get my heart back up. It did really help. So I'm not going to say all medicine is bad and you shouldn't take anything, because those pills did really help get my heart rate back up. But then I segued from that into just herbs after I got my strength back, and it helped. So I recommend like listening to the doctor in the beginning, but then doing some research on what herbs you should take. And I'll put out some information on my Instagram about those herbs, and this tea. It's a tea you can take. I forget the name of it, but I'll put it out. I have it on top of my refrigerator, as a matter of fact. Yeah, Marcus, that shit was scary as hell, especially like the breathing, like literally taking 2 steps and feeling like you ran a marathon. Like, what the fuck? It was scary. It was like, what the hell? There's no way I'm going out like this. Like, nah. So yeah, luckily the fucking hospital was like on the corner of where I live at. So I just drove to the ER, and I was good, because I woke up and I couldn't breathe. Middle of the night, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning when it first happened. I woke up and I couldn't breathe, and the fan. I realized the air from the fan, because I'm one of those people that got to sleep with a fan every night, winter, summer, no matter. The fan was helping me. And when I got away from the fan, it was real hard to breathe. And I was like, oh, when I tried to get up, I was like, oh, like it felt like I didn't have enough breath to make it out of the room. So that was kind of scary, and I had to really stop and focus and just walk slowly out of there. And I mean, I was real close to calling 911, and but I was like my thinking is like, I'm not paying $500 for an ambulance, insurance or not. Hospital on the corner, I'm just gonna go to the ER real quick. And I got in there and they saw me like immediately, and everything got taken care of immediately. But yeah, that shit was scary. Yeah, that's what they were saying. So I'm young, I'm 42, way too young to have CHF. So that's what that's why they didn't diagnose it at first as CHF, because they was like, you're too fucking young to have CHF. So, and they're still looking into this. So I was in the military. So if you guys paying attention, you see the shit all up and down social media, where all these fucking problems that people that was in the military are starting to have now, because of the shit we went through in boot camp, the shit we went through over in Iraq and the military, what have you. We went through a lot of shit in training. And it's a lot of chemicals like that we breathed in, a lot of shit that we had to deal with going through, in the military. And I dealt with all that shit. So they're looking into to make sure that it wasn't because of something I went through in the military. I actually had to do tests. So I'm still waiting for the results on that, because if it is, that's money. But so that's one. But then also my dad died of the same shit. So, and it's hereditary. So that's why it's more so looking towards that. Far as like it being hereditary and being passed down, it's not uncommon. It happens, people being young and having it. It's just real rare that you see it. I mean, but it does happen, people being young and having heart failure. So the difference is if it's onset. Luckily for me, it was onset, and we caught it early, and it wasn't something that I had to deal with for a long time. And luckily, I don't eat too much crazy fatty foods or what have you. But if you have this genetic shit in you with heart failure, then it could be triggered by sodium. And then your sodium intake can really cause your heart to fail. That's why I said, yo, you eating shit, especially if you eating, used to be my go-to, those little cup of noodles. I used to fuck those up. We got them in like the bowls out here, I forget the name of it, but they used to be super good. They real quick. So I used to eat those a lot, but I didn't really pay attention to how much sodium is in those things. So you look on the back, it's like 45% fucking sodium. That's way too much. Like I said, anything like this in the 30s, anything over 30 is like really bad for you. And it's like I said, if you got a high metabolism, if you bony as shit, it doesn't matter. You're gonna burn it off. But if you got some weight on you, please listen to me, because they trying to kill us, as you guys know. Stay away from high sodium content shit. And this is me talking to my cardiologist, telling me like, yo, like there's so many people who having these issues because the sodium intake is too high. Just pay attention to sodium, shit that got sodium. If that shit says great value, don't buy it. Oh yeah, Sweet Baby Ray's. I'm gonna fucking break something. Don't buy that shit. Do your own research. That shit is horrible. It's causing fucking heart failure and heart problems. It's good as fuck, but don't eat that shit. Sweet Baby Ray's. Try to stay away from ramen. I mean, you can eat it, but don't eat it as much as you was doing before. Here and there. Stay away from that shit. And yeah, it's a lot of. If it's high in sodium, I just highly recommend. Like, because what's going to happen is you're going to have this buildup over time. You're going to seem cool, but it's going to really catch up to you later on in life, and that's what's really causing heart issues with people as they get older, when they get older. And then you're too old to do anything about it. At least, like, mine's onset, and I caught it young, and I'm still young enough to go and exercise and work out, but you don't want to get fucking, older, and then you can't even fucking go do nothing about it because you're too old. So just really watch your sodium intake, trust me. Unless you got a high-ass metabolism and you already bony and cut and you work out regularly, you'll be fine though. But still, watch your sodium. Yeah, so Rab, Saturn Satan is on the site on Merkabah Academy, but if you paid the $9.99 for those two videos, the reason why I said that is because I said this in the last live. Podia cut the free downloads down to 100 people. So the reason why I had you guys buy that is because anything after that policy change, they'll allow you to keep downloading from that video because you paid for it already. So what I can do is I can just add videos to that link, to that, that payment you guys did. So now if you go to Podia, you can download Stock Market and Saturn Satan from that $9.99 thing, and that's the fastest way to do it. But it's on Merkabah Academy, but I know people are having problems with that thing. That's why I did this live, to let you guys know that I'm updating. That's part of the issue. But also WordPress is in the process of fixing the issue they're having with Google Chrome. Firefox, it should work, but I know it doesn't work for some people. And the only thing I can recommend is clearing your browser cache, reinstalling Google Chrome, restarting your computer. Some of these things have worked for a lot of people. And for some people, it's just not working, and it's an issue. So I know WordPress is working on an update, which is what they told me. And once that's taken care of, it should work. But right now, on Merkabah Academy, Saturn Satan is up, as well as Stock Market Final. Both of those videos are in the Never Pay Again section, and you can watch them. But yeah, that's like what's going on with the situation now. But hopefully by today or Monday, it should be fixed. Am I that atheist guy? No. Yeah, it don't matter what music you listen to. Just be conscious of the music. If you're, that's when we say conscious, man. That's what that means. You understand all this shit. And it's not just saying I'm a person who looks into Black history. That's what some people think conscious means. It's just mean you fucking understand all this shit. What comes with all of it. And what hip hop, especially drill music, if you're listening to it, you know what the music is. You know what it's talking about. Like, you're conscious enough to understand that what they're talking about is not going to reflect my reality. Now, if you're strong enough to say to your consciousness, I can bypass this. And we can say that, but then some shit is going to happen where somebody's going to get in your face, or somebody gonna say something, and then a nigga gonna come out of you, and you gonna be all hype, and then next thing you know, you in handcuffs or dead. So that's what happens. Like, you gotta understand, this music programs you to react wrong, and it's you, so you don't think it's a problem with it because it's you, not realizing you've been programmed to react a certain way. So a lot of times, I mean, you can, if you're conscious enough to listen to this music and understand, I'm not going to let it reflect my reality and what I do and the choices I make, then you're good to go. Listen to what you want to listen to. But I'm telling you, listening to this music and having this energy in you, that, man, ain't nobody going to talk to me like that, or ain't nobody going, I ain't no punk. I ain't no punk got a lot of black people killed. Look at it as, I'm smarter than that. There's no fucking way I'm falling for this bullshit. It's a trap. Walk away from these dumbass engagements. Don't get in those stupid arguments with stupid fucking people. Because some people are just itching to pull that fucking trigger. And they'll do it on camera. They'll do it in front of people in public. I see the videos all the time. So I say that because that's what that music wants you to reflect, what it's talking about with drill music and all the killing and murder. It ain't just drill. It's all fucking hip hop music, period. All of it's talking about killing, murder, and a bunch of bullshit. Drug use and all that dumb shit. So it's either you're going to choose to be conscious, really conscious, and understand how to bypass all that bullshit, or you're going to let it infect you, and then it's going to cause you to do something that you really don't want to do. Rohan, that's good. I sleep with frequency music as well. Who on a 4-hour lunch break? I'm being cremated. SJ, hello. Okay, yeah, Marcus. That's Dr. Carl Marat. Dr. Carl Marat did the whole video on chagas. So that's what I was talked about in that video. So you can actually Google Dr. Carl Marat and chagas, which chagas is a mushroom. And chagas has real crazy melanin benefits. And notice he was talking to a room full of white folks, basically telling them that you're a fuck because you're not black. Basically what he was trying to say, and that you need to get this melanin in you. That's a real important video a lot of people don't know about. I put it in that video for that reason, so you guys can listen to what this doctor is saying about the benefits of melanin that we take for granted, like every fucking day black people take it for granted. So that's one of the things that, I mean, poisoning ourselves and all the shit they give us in our food to fuck up the abilities that our melanin gives us naturally. That's what it's about. Now, dreaming and thinking is completely different. It's completely different because, like, you not dreaming doesn't mean that you're not dreaming. It just means you don't remember the dream. And that's the thing. We go to sleep and you're just waking up, which I kind of sort of love that shit, to be honest, because it's like the day go by, everything is quick. But you feel the time. You feel time. Excuse me. But yeah, it's a difference between dreaming and then remembering a dream and not remembering a dream. Excuse me. Because your subconscious is powerful and it can make it so that you don't remember that dream when you wake up. It has the ability to do that. And remembering a dream, for those who remember dreams, who actually dream and still remember the dreams, you just think about the dream. A lot of times those dreams are stupid, but I promise you, there's a message within those dreams your subconscious is trying to give you. But then sometimes it's you just bypassing everything, and you took in so much anime or so much music that you dwelling on it so much that that's what you're projecting and you're pointing out. So the subconscious don't have to do anything. You're doing it to yourself by falling asleep watching TV or listening to certain things, and that's you, or it's using that to basically keep you in that dream state, because you have to stay asleep so your subconscious can tell your cells to recharge your body and repair your body. And that's what the dream world is about, and your subconscious taking control to keep you sleep long enough for your cells to do their job and work. That's why when you sleep, you heal. When you sleep, you get recharged. Let's see, 1 second. Yeah, man, like D Griff, good question. Like your kids, man, your kids is everything. And what you put in their brain is really important because that's going to really determine, how they're going to turn out. Like my son turned out great. I got a daughter now, and it's just amazing watching her grow and seeing how she is. But you really want to instill as much knowledge in them as possible. And we know what happened with kids. They fucking ungrateful. They don't like to listen. I'm lucky to not have went through that with my son because I put so much in him. I really talked to him like he was like me. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta stop talking to kids as like you a fucking dictator. You gotta talk to them, like tell them what's going on and why you should not do this and show them. Don't just be on some I'm your dad, you gotta listen to me, or I'm your mom, you gotta listen. Because that's the dynamic. You're supposed to just listen to everything I tell you. Because kids, you already know they're gonna tell you your shit. Kids can see dirt. And when you're not living right and you doing wrong shit, kids gonna look at that and be like, you on some bullshit. And they're not really gonna accept your word because you're not living by it yourself. So when teaching your kids and training your kids, man, just let them know why shit is. I'll never forget, I said this in a video before, my son, he came home and asked about slavery because he didn't think it was real. He didn't think it actually happened. So I had to really tell him, like, yeah, this happened and why it happened. So as your kid get older, be real with them, and prepare them for harsh shit young. So when they get older, they just wipe it off. Like, don't fucking sugarcoat too much with them. And they do that in Sweden. I was talking about this in Sweden. They don't censor nothing in Sweden. All the songs play with all the cuss words. They show porn after midnight in Sweden on regular TV. They don't cut nothing out. Because for what? You're doing more harm than good. Prepare your kids for real shit so they can be ready for it, and it's not like a big surprise when they get older. But you just do it in the correct way at the right time. Train your kids, let them know about this information, what's going on, why things are the way that it is, and they'll get it because kids are smart. They'll understand. They'll look and see, why it is or why you saying what you're saying. And when you put it to them in a way that's telling and talking to them versus being like, you gotta listen to this and you must follow this and forcing some shit on them, it's not going to work, man. And every kid is different. Everybody's different. But if your kids is real young, what you do now, as you know, is going to shape them for the rest of their life. And that's real shit. Because I know there's a lot of people walking around with some fucked up, ungrateful kids who not listening, not paying attention, and they just think they know it. You guys remember, we was at that fucking age when we thought we knew it. You can't tell me shit. And then we realized we get older, we don't know. We ain't know shit. I look back at my 20s and I'm like, in my 20s, it's like, I didn't know nothing. You think you know, but you don't know shit. I just tell my son all the time. I just say, you think you know, but you don't know shit. You just don't know. Listen to me what I'm telling you. If you listen to me, you're going to be fine because I got the cheat code. We are the cheat code for our kids. We know what the fuck is going on. And so you got to get them to that point where they trust you enough to listen to your word and what you're saying, and you got the relationship with them that they won't go behind your back, that they're comfortable enough with you to tell you the crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? So I like having that relationship with my son. My son calls me all the time about videos of mine he watch and information. His friends as well be interested in the information. But my son always hit me up, Dad, in this video you said this. He always got questions. So it's important to have that kind of dynamic with your kid if you want them to be conscious and be cool for the future, because your kid should be the shit. There's no way, like, especially us, my age, if you got kids, your kid should be the shit because you know the pitfalls, you know the system, you know what's going on if you're conscious. And there's no way your kids shouldn't have a good credit score, a good job, degree, whatever. They should have all that. I'm seeing that a lot from black people, which I'm happy to see now. Their kids doing good. So that's good to see. Yeah. Saturn Satan, guys, it's available right now. The link is in the description. If you didn't get it, grab that video. It's the final Saturn Satan. You can get it with all the other Saturn Satan videos, or you can just get the new one, either way. But make sure you guys grab Saturn Satan Final, especially if you've seen the ones before this one, because you'll see it's the best one. and everything comes together. Like I said, I had to keep a lot of shit out of the other videos to save it for the final video. And you'll see how everything comes together. If you guys seen that video, like how dope was that video? Like it was banging. So a lot of shit I left out, and you guys see why I left it out. So yeah, make sure you guys grab Saturn Satan. I know a lot of people didn't see when I posted it because shadow ban's still going on, and a lot of people not having having issues with Merkabah Academy. I talked about that. That's being worked out. But make sure you guys grab Saturn Satan. The link is in the description. Bobby K, what's the deal? Oh yeah, I answered your question already, my bad. Let me see. Well, yeah, that's a good question. Like the subconscious being God is something I know for a long time, because the Bible is giving you that understanding when you really pay attention. Like I said in Saturn Satan Final, like when you look at the ancient world, because you guys got to think, the fact that the ancient Egyptians wrote stories, made parables, right, tells you that it's something to that. Like that's how shit has to be taken. You can't cheat people out of making choice. That goes against universal law. So you have to put stuff metaphorical and parabolistic for them to figure out for themselves, because it gets more in tune with your energy and allows you to make choices on your own. You know, having somebody, Robin Williams said this a long time ago. I talked about this in the video. Robin Williams said what we're doing now would be called witchcraft. Would have been called witchcraft years ago, because they're influencing. That was fucking satanic back then. It was like witchcraft. Being in a position of influence, you're controlling somebody's energy and having influence on them. This is why celebrities and these musicians are deemed as, you know, Satanists, and we say they worship Satan because they have influence. That is like the spirit of Satan, the devil. Bad, not the actual devil. You understand what I'm trying to say? But being an influencer and having influence on somebody's energy, causing them to make decisions based on your influence, is bad. So being conscious, usurps all that. So me looking at all the information that I saw, and I was like, you know what? It's clearly telling you that your subconscious is God, and Jesus is your consciousness. You, because Jesus is telling you he's you, and he's in you, and God is in you, and all that. So as I was saying in Saturn Satan Final, you got to look at Jesus being the Son, God being the Son, and they're telling you there's verses, and I gave you guys these in the Bible, where they're describing God as the Son. They're describing Jesus as the Son, right? But Jesus is also God, right? God basically impregnating Mary and coming through so he can experience the world in the flesh. And it depends on whose version you want to take, Christians or Catholics, because Catholics would say that that's not the case, but it's all parables. So in that same way, in Egypt, you got to look at Horus and Osiris, which Osiris dying, and basically Isis giving birth to Horus is Isis giving birth to Osiris, and Osiris being reborn through Horus, which is why Horus is the bull, Osiris is the bull, Osiris Jesus. You guys seeing all those connections. So I'm saying all that because you got to understand that these stories and parables have so many different meanings to them wrapped up in these stories. And you got to look at them. And when you look at them, it's giving you so much. And it's so dope. Which is why I say the Bible is like the greatest book ever. It's so dope how they put that in the Bible when you really understand. I don't want to give away too much because I broke it down in Saturn Satan Final, especially the Hebrews part, because that part is deep. Because they basically telling you, hey, these dudes is black. And like when the Hebrews are coming out of Egypt, there is no Judaism. Judaism doesn't exist. So what were they basically going to do in their travel to Babylon? Become Jews. So that whole thing, what we call the Torah, is supposedly their story, but the Jews themselves are not even Jews yet. They're like, where are they? Like, where did they come from before that? Israel is called Israel, Isis, Rael. So it's telling you these are the children of Israel, the people that's going to live and inhabit Israel, What is Israel? Israel is Saturn. And I broke that down, what all that is, and Saturn semifinal. It's Saturn. So who are the children of Saturn? Who are these people who are going to Israel? Like, as you guys know, I broke down, Judaism, worship of Saturn. Islam, worship of Saturn. Christianity, as I showed you guys in the Saturn semifinal, is Saturn. Jesus represents Saturn. I broke all that down. That's why I said to save it for the final video so it will make sense. So again, make sure you guys see Saturn semifinal. And of course, Jesus, God being your subconscious, because the subconscious is the most powerful thing you experience, period, point blank. And it controls and shapes that dream world when you got to think about it. As I said, if you try to consciously draw downtown, you can't do it. But in your dream world, you're downtown, you're in your kitchen, you're wherever, and it's played out perfectly. Sometimes things are off a little bit, but for the most part, downtown looks like downtown. You know what I'm saying? So that's amazing that your subconscious knows this, because you can't do it consciously. You understand? So yeah, it's a lot to that. Good question though. Musa, what's the deal? I was stationed at Naval Station Norfolk, yeah. I lived in Virginia Beach. I loved it down there. It was pretty cool. Oh yeah, I got 100% from the VA. Hell yeah. It was 85% at first, and then I got 100%. Yeah, Naval Station Norfolk. That was it. Like, I used to be in Portsmouth, and my ex-girlfriend back in the day went to Hampton University. I went to Old Dominion, ODU, for a little bit. And yeah, I loved it down there. Like, it's a military town. They treated us good down there. Back when in Hooters, they used to actually sit on your lap. The girls, they don't do that shit no more. They had 10-cent wings. VA is one of my favorite places. I know, man. Sweet Baby Ray's. It's like so many studies that's been done on it, and somebody had sent me a link recently about what's the chemicals that's in it and how bad it is really for your body. And I was just like, man, like it's fucked up, because you got to spend so much money to eat healthy. It's expensive, and that's the way they want it, because it's the good shit. But it's crazy. Like, you really got to be so cautious in this country on what you put in your body now, and it's just ridiculous. This is why I love living in Sweden, and and Dubai. The food was good. Dubai was amazing. Everything's halal over there. They don't put no chemicals in their food over in Dubai. Dubai is amazing, which I'm going to be going there pretty soon. So yeah, I got a lot of trips coming up. So you guys, this is one of the reasons why I'm going to start doing lives, because I'm going to be going live from a lot of these countries. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be on Merkabah Academy, of course. I'm not going to go live on YouTube, because it's going to be fucking hard to do it over there. I tried it before to go live when I was in Egypt. And it was hard in Egypt because it was just too fucking hot. Fucking phone kept burning out. And I was like trying to go live from the pyramids. And shit, your phone overheats so fast there. Like, you really have to take like a fucking cooling box to cool your phone down. So I would have way more videos and pictures if my shit, and it wasn't just my phone. My camera was overheating. It was nuts. It was so hot over there. But I'm going to be going to a lot of countries coming up. So yeah, I'll be doing some lives from there, and you guys will see it on Merkabah Academy. I wear a 7 3/4. Yeah, I got a big ass head, but it looks big because of the camera. You can probably Google Wendy's chili. I'm not even gonna hold you. I used to fuck that Wendy's chili up. I used to love Wendy's chili. It used to be banging. And back when they used to really give you a good big potato, they don't even put it together no more. Like, they just give you all the shit on the side sometimes, depending on what state you in. Do I listen to Nas X? Hell no. BitMax, I appreciate it. Yeah, Billy Carson, like it's so many videos on Billy Carson that people put out. I know a lot of people ask me about it. People been asking me about him for a while, and I just been like, dude, I don't really. The dude is a fraud. Like, come on, I don't know how anybody that's telling you that they got visited by aliens and all that shit, like, oh, they saw aliens. Like, come on, you should already be raising an eyebrow. Anybody that's pushing to you Jesus is being real or black Jesus, you should be raising a fucking eyebrow. Like, the dude is selling books. He's just he's in bed with these people. Like I said, like, look at the platform. And I was talking shit about the fucking being verified to check. I got verified now, but there's no way I'm getting on those platforms. I can't get on the Breakfast Club. I can't get on Gaia. They're not gonna let you on telling no type of truth. You're not gonna have those type of platforms. Pay attention to those platforms people got, because they got those platforms for a reason, and they own those platforms for a reason. But if you're a person, and you can't get fooled by these guys, if you're a person who do research, because the shit that this dude be talking just be absolutely outrageous. He just be saying shit as if it's like no type of proof or backup. If you watch my videos, I give you guys proof. If I'm saying something, I'm posting pictures up there, which is why it takes so long to do these videos. I'm trying to give you as much proof as possible, posting pictures, posting videos, and backing up what I say. You can't just come out of nowhere and just say Anunnaki tablets, and you guys got to remember, the Emerald tablets, like, we have like what somebody made as like a replica of them, supposedly from the real ones. We don't know. The Emerald tablets is like the Bible. We don't have the originals. We have this supposed composite somebody did, supposedly based off the originals, that you can accept or not. And then what one researcher said, who actually reads Sumerian, is that the tablets that they saw, they actually believed that they were from Sumerian tablets, but we can't read them. Nobody can. And there's only like 5 people on the planet who can make out certain things that's on those tablets. So, that's another thing to think about. Same thing with the Arcadian cuneiform. People can't really read all that shit. Did you see Arcadian cuneiform? I put that in the video on the Al Yehuda tablets. It's an Arcadian cuneiform. A lot of people can't read that shit. You got to look at it. Same thing with the Egyptian hieroglyphs. They're pictographs. Like, the only way we know why certain things correspond to certain deities or situations is because of the we see it repeated. If you actually study the hieroglyphs, it's a repeat you see, and then when you try to correspond it with the what is it called? The writings. It's almost like cursive writings. It's the name for it. I forget. But when you correspond it to those writings we get in Egyptian, they correspond. They match up. So that's how we know we can decipher some of the Egyptian hieroglyphs just from repetition. And you can read some of them now in that way. But like I said, there's no hieroglyph that corresponds to A, B, C, D. That's Greek bullshit. So you got to look at that. But yeah, Billy Carson, I don't really bang with the dude. I've seen some of his videos because people send them to me. And then I was just cracking the fuck up watching them, because I'm like, what? I mean, the dude is crazy. So it's like, it's up to you guys. I'm not going to say don't watch him, because it's good to know the bullshit that people talk. So in your research, you know what to leapfrog over. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's how I feel about it. Yeah, I mean, I did research. Everybody did research on Atlantis, man. It's like, it's hard to say, because like some people tell you that America is Atlantis. Atlantis is the new world. How is it the new world? We've always been here. So a lot of people say, well, America was underwater at some point. It's Atlantis. It sank. It came back up. That's part of the theory. And a lot of people say Atlantis did exist, but it sank. Of course, it's the official understanding of it. The thing is this. The fact that the Egyptians talked about Atlantis and Plato talked about Atlantis, you got to think about it. Like, why would they make it up? Why would they make that up? Talking about this landmass. For what? There's no TV back then. They're not making it up to get views and likes. The shit they talked about back then has truth to it. They used to call Herodotus a liar until people started to realize that the shit he was saying was true. We found Heraclion based on Herodotus' notes. But Herodotus was off on a lot of things because people translated him wrong. That's all it was. He was telling you the truth. But the translations we get on the information about Atlantis, you can't ignore that shit. I believe it existed. Who knows where it was at? Some people think it was Greenland up there, that big massive land. Who knows? Who knows? This is one of those things where it's going to remain a mystery, because even if they found it, they're not going to tell us. Excuse me. What time is it? 5. Let's see. Yeah, people asked about tarot cards before. I talked about it in the video, but tarot cards is a representation of just different energies. And those cards, it depends on your deck too. And a psychic could tell you about that, tarot card decks and energies around it. But it's almost kind of like the cards corresponding to your subconscious, and your subconscious is basically communicating with the subconscious of the other person, and the cards is the conduit, the in-between. So when a reader unfolds those cards, it's kind of like your subconscious giving you an understanding about your life and your future, or what's going to happen through the turning of those cards. That's the spirituality around it. So you can believe it or not believe it, but a lot of times that should be on point. So, who knows? I don't really, I don't knock tarot card readers, because I've had a reading done and that shit was fucking amazing. It blew me away. And yeah, so I don't knock it. I just don't understand the whole, I'm not gonna say, I guess I'll say science behind it. But when you get a reading and that shit resonates with you, yeah, it's dope. It's pretty cool. Yeah, spooky in some ways, but it's one of those things to where you can't knock it until you try it. And of course, I mean, I've been to a psychic, and she was on some complete boo boo. I'm like, what the fuck is you talking about? That doesn't, you got the wrong guy. But I've when I was in where was I at? Was that Thailand? I think I was in Tibet. It was Tibet or Thailand when I got a reading done, and it was so dope. Luckily, she spoke English, but she gave me a good reading. It was so profound, and just telling me like I almost think she knew who I was, like for as far as YouTube, because I was like, how the fuck she know? Telling about me being a good teacher, and a lot of people get a lot of spiritual energy from me. It was a lot of stuff to that effect that just made so much sense. But it was other childhood stuff that's no way she could have known. So yeah, it just depends on the experience you get from the reading or what have you. So I'm not against it, tarot cards or psychics, to be honest with you, because some psychics you just gonna know is bullshit from the rip. Yeah, Musa, I got 2 kids. I got a 23-year-old son, and I have a 9-month-old daughter, so 2. So I got my son, I got the boy, I got the girl. I got a daughter. I'm so happy to have a daughter. She's like amazing, and I finally got somebody to wipe the oatmeal off my lip when I'm 80. Yeah, Silk. I think it's that way. Carl Marat. I think it's how you spell it. Let's see. Yeah, what the dragons, and they covered. This is what I mean by ancient books, old books. Man, it's so many. So when I was in London at the museum, and I went to a lot of bookstores and libraries, what have you. Excuse me. Excuse me. A lot of these books, they have so many old books talking about dragons, but they locked away. Like, excuse me. These are books you can't buy. It's just books you can look at. So if you go to like the London Museum. Even if you go to the Met, it's so many museums that have these books that they're on display because there's very little of them. They burnt these books. That's what it was about. Remember, I talked about this, like with King James, when all that stuff was going on with the Bible and uh, King James version, and the whole thing with them going out and getting rid of the old ways. So a lot of those books was burnt. Books on alchemy burnt. The books on them talking about dragons and everything burnt. So a lot of these books that survived are in museums now, and you can't buy them, let alone touch them or what have you. So I actually got my hands on, I was able to actually touch the Nag Hammadi manuscripts. I was able to touch the original King James Bible because I looked up, when I was at the London Museum, the guy followed me. So he was like, yo, he let me back there to see it. I couldn't take no pictures though because of the cameras. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And a lot of that information is in books. So I was shocked to see that was so many people talked about dragons back then and what wiped them out. And you can see from paintings. The fact that we have a bunch of these medieval paintings, real medieval paintings, I put them in the videos. Those are real paintings of these knights killing these dragons. It shows you it was some type of systematic order that went out to go and wipe these dragons out. Plain and simple. Again, think about it. Think about how old. Think about we talking about, 14th, 13th, 12th, 11th century. There's no TV. So why would they draw? How would they even contemplate these dragons if they didn't exist? And then multiple people in different parts of the world, how would they know? Like, there ain't that much imagination in the world. This shit actually existed. Because we got these old paintings and old stories about dragons. And it's something you can't ignore. So in my video, in Saturn Satan, in mystery school as well, when I got into about dragons, I put a lot of that information in there because they existed. And it's a connection that women had with these dragons that's gone, that's disconnected now because they're gone. And yeah, it's a lot to it. It allowed man to become in a dominant position when they wiped out those dragons. Who do you see killing those dragons? It's men in those armor suits. All of the stories, the mythologies, what's happening. The dragon has the fucking princess or the woman trapped in a castle. It's giving you that connection that the woman had this connection with the dragon. What the fuck is a dragon doing kidnapping a woman and taking her to a tower for? For what? So that's you understand, it's giving you parabolistic understanding of what took place back then. And these dragons was wiped out. If you guys watched, and I forget what video I said this, and I got so many fucking videos, but if you guys watch the series on Netflix, The Defenders. So basically, it's the Marvel series. If you haven't seen it, where the fuck you been? It's been out for a long time. So that is Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and fucking Daredevil, Iron Fist. So they all have their own individual series. But then it comes together in The Defenders. Make sure you guys watch that. Those dudes was immortal because of what? Dragon bones, right? They dragon bones. So giving you this understanding about these dragons, and it's so much. You guys seen a lot of movies. The dragon worship, I would say, with dragons. A lot more to it. So yeah, I got into that whole thing. Angie, what's the deal? Don, I appreciate it. Yeah, those dragons was killed. They was wiped out, and who knows, like, what they did with the bodies or what type of spiritual connection that they had and what was going on. It's a big thing to really think about and look into, and the fact it being so old, it's out of the realm of spookiness to me because of so many people that talked about it. So I don't discount it at all. Yeah, Scorpion King. The ancient Egyptians, I believe, did see dragons. One, you got the normal palette, the Hanrak Omphalos slate. I put in a couple of videos. It's one of the oldest artifacts on the planet. And on that slate, on the normal palette, it looked like a fucking stegosaurus. Um, it's certain depictions that they gave us, reliefs, where it's these beasts. And it's like, we're not supposed to have been living with dinosaurs. So how did they draw them? And we got old cave art that's thousands of years old where they drawing fucking dragons. So that's real, like, it's proven. So the shit you're not gonna see on the news, but it's stuff that we know, they drew, and we can prove that it's old before dragons, well, after dragons had supposed to existed. Because remember, the official story is men and dinosaurs did not coexist. But then now we have all the proof in the world that they did, and that they changed the name. As I said, they changed the name from dragons to dinosaurs to cover that up. Excuse me. Yeah, the Greeks changed a lot of words around. A lot of stuff you'll realize, especially in America, goes back to Greek and Roman shit. I was talking about that, like, when you start to read the older manuscripts, you see that, like the I was talking about in Saturn Saying Final, the argument with Rome about Jesus having brothers and sisters. Because Rome, Catholicism will tell you that Mary remained a virgin. She didn't have any children after Jesus. But then you read in the older manuscripts, it's saying Adelphi. So that means in Greek, brother. Adelphia, Philadelphia, city of brotherly love. That's why they call it city of brotherly love, because Philadelphia, Adelphi means brother. But in Greek, in the Greek manuscripts, that's the word that they use when describing Joseph and the brothers or what have you, the disciples, or the brothers and sister of Jesus or what have you. So the Greeks changed a lot of shit, man. They changed a lot of stuff around, but they did so that English corresponds with the Bible, as I talked about before, and it does. Yeah, Soul Purpose Part 2, I'm definitely going to do that. No, not dragon as a metaphor, but dragon as actual literal dragons. Yes, they did exist. No way around that. Yeah, but like there is, like I say, I don't. If I think it's spooky, I'll say spooky. But if you like, it's people who are super ignorant, and if you do the research, it's some things you just can't ignore. Dragons is one. Dragons you cannot ignore. One, when you understand the fact that they call dinosaurs dragons. So since we know, we have fossils, we know dinosaurs existed, dragons existed. But dinosaurs is the cover up for dragons. That's all that shit is. So the way they looked in those paintings is more so the way they looked. All that other shit is, skeptical. But the fact that China gives us the dragon one, but we also get it in ancient Greece. We also get it in ancient stories. As I said, when I talked about with Homer, Homer wrote this stuff thousands of years ago. The fuck is he? Why would he make some shit up like that? For what? It's talking about stuff that exists. So you got to look at it and be critical. A lot of people are not critical thinkers. You got to be critical. We're talking about ancient times, right? Who the fuck knows what a dragon is? So if I'm making up a dragon, who the fuck is going to know what I'm talking about? You understand? Because if they didn't exist, and people would say, oh, if you put a dragon in your story and they didn't exist and nobody knows what it is, who the fuck going to know what you're talking about? You understand? So it's like, that's how you got to critically think and think critical. Because there's no way he would have wrote this shit back in BC time to put out in the story and expect people to know what it is, right? So it's like, I could just make up some shit. I could make up anything. And then I could be talking to you about this made up thing. You don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I just made it up. So why would I tell you about this made up thing knowing you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about? You understand? So that thinking critically, being in that mindset makes you understand more that is more factual to them actually existing, understanding that so many civilizations different across the world talked about the same thing. Understand? So yeah, it's not spooky. Let me see. Oh shit! I gotta get out of here soon. Let me see. Yeah, and that's the thing. So I always tell people, do your own research, go and look. You know, at anything I say, you'll come to the same conclusion as me. Trust me. But uh, it's real important for you to really do the research and get the shit, because like that's the fun part of it. When you're doing research and you piece shit together yourself, is awesome. It resonates more with you knowing that you did the research and you came to that conclusion. So a lot of times when people ask me this, ask me about stuff, or did I see this and I see that, I try not to watch nobody else. I don't like watching other people's videos. I don't like watching anything that's going to influence my research one way or another. It's really hard. Like, you have to be really conscious because you don't want stuff to creep in to your understanding. So what happens is, if you watch a lot of stuff that's giving you a whole bunch of information, and you're trying to put the pieces together and think, you're pulling shit from all this stuff that you've seen, and it's going to influence your outcome of what's going on or what you think is going on or your research. So this is why I try to do actual research. This is why I fly and go to these countries and go see shit for myself, because that way I seen it for myself. I was there and I talk to people. I understand. I got a better understanding of this versus, and I know everybody can't fly out and stuff like that, but I'm just saying, like, be wary and be careful of accepting too much information in from too many sources if you're not doing the research on your own, because then you're going to say dumb shit like, you sound like Billy Carson. Like, you're going to say stupid shit like, it's spooky when it's not really spooky. It's just you didn't do no fucking research or really look into something. You just feel some type of way about the information that you heard without actually doing the research. So there's a lot of shit that sounds spooky, but when you actually do the research, it's a lot of validity to it. I will stand on 100%. I don't care how it sounds. I will stand on 100% that dragons was real. I stand on that 100%, 100%. So again, it's like, and I put out enough information in that video for you guys to come to that same conclusion. Like, if you look at everything I put out in that video, yeah, I mean, you're going to come away with that understanding as well. But as I said, just thinking critical, I put you into that right mindset. As I said, looking at how old the information is from different civilizations that talked about and drew these dragons. So yeah, it's not spooky at all. Hell no, we ain't made by no Anunnaki. I mean, like, the Anunnaki creating man to mine gold is the most absurd thing. It's just so stupid to think about. Like, when you think about how complicated we are to just make us to mine gold, when you got fucking gorillas and animals that's way stronger than us, that be like, why not give a gorilla the intelligence, right, to go and mine gold, to pull this gold out the ground when they got the strength to do it, and it's like way easier for them. You understand? Like, it would make more sense. Like, we were created in this way for a reason. You understand? Like, but Anunnaki is just like, as I said, goes back to stitching, and everybody is so many people who just making money off of y'all writing these books and putting out this information because people are too scared to do their own research. It sounds cool. Don't get me wrong. All that shit sound dope and everything. It's like, oh man, this is crazy. But I mean, fucking common sense to tell you it's some bullshit. Like, then they can't make it fit. So which is why they're trying to pull the Bible and all this other stuff into it. It's bullshit. Everybody worships Saturn. That's what you got to look at. And I give you proof of that. They're not showing you tell me when Stitching or Billy Carson showed you guys the fucking emerald tablets that they talking about. They never showed you those tablets because they don't got them. They don't exist. We have basically a remake of them. We don't have the original. And then the remake, what somebody made, we don't know. We can't say what's on them. We can't read them. Nobody can read them. They can't read them. So they're regurgitating what they heard from other people. Like, they're giving you this whole elaborate story about Inky and Enlil, changing the original stories, and then trying to marry that shit with the Bible and everything else. Like, calm the fuck on. Like, come on. And you gotta be a person who does absolutely no research to believe that bullshit. It's just people want to believe it because it sounds sci-fi. And people are so into sci-fi anime these days that they don't know fiction from reality. No, Anunnaki don't exist. They don't exist. No damn Anunnaki, ain't no such thing as Anunnaki. It's a creation of Zechariah Stitchin, who made all that shit up because he was trying to gain his 33rd degree in Freemasonry. And to obtain that, you have to embark on what's called the Great Work. That's what Terrence Howard is doing right now, the Great Work. Plain and simple. And you see this throughout history. And then the Great Work can be so many different things, but it's mostly it's a deception. But back in the day, it was actually something that was tangible, that benefited mankind. But now it's just stories. It's bullshit. Yeah. Bruce Lee entered the dragon. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about no, excuse me. I'm not talking about no reptilian humanoid beings or nothing like that. I'm talking about dragons as they look in those depictions I showed you, in a way that the Chinese is giving them to you. The serpent dragon, talked about in ancient Greece as well as in the Bible. There's no way you can make that shit up at a time where nobody was making shit up like that. Because as I said, there's no TV, there's no internet. How the fuck would they know what you're talking about if you're talking about a dragon? Mythological. And they didn't depict it and write it because most of the shit that they said was that they would say as being a myth or like a story or what have you. They said that they would tell you metaphorical, but it would never be pertaining to animals. Those animals, what have you. That shit was always something that existed. The big debate with people outside of the conscious community is the deities, the ancient Egyptian gods or what have you, them being real, because they think us being conscious, we chose them over Jesus Christ. We chose to worship Osiris as being real over Jesus and everybody else. When that's not the case, when we know these ancient Egyptian deities, these beings, represent our body and nature and stuff like that. It's just how you do research. Gemini, good question, man. And yeah, Saturn, Satan, I talked about the moon and the sun. This is the sun. Well, you guys understand if you do any type of research on physics, we know the sun speeds up atoms, right? It speeds up atoms. And the implications of what we know as Saturn would be Saturn slows down atoms. So when you understand what they're trying to say is to get reality. Because think about it. If you're an energy, right? If you exist as an energetic being, and how are you going to experience the material? Like if this is the lowest level and you needed to train or you needed to build up and grow your energy, how are you going to be in the physical? You have to create something that's going to be physical for you to be housed in or to inhabit so you can experience the physical world. We are in a situation where our soul is experiencing this physical world through our bodies. This was a controlled thing and something happened. This was an agreed upon thing and then something happened. And we don't know if, I kind of labbed on it at Saturday as far as them understanding what's going on, and it kind of made them plateau and they couldn't go beyond that because they knew what was going on out there, what have you. And the best way to grow is for you to not know, for you to experience suffering and pain and grow out of it. because then there's duality in that. And if you don't know by now, I always talk about duality. It is everything, yin yang, everything. Duality is everything. So it's not a coincidence. Uh, you have Saturn, the black sun, and you have Jesus being the sun in the sky. And then when you really kind of pay attention to it, Saturn was the ancient world, black people, us. We ruled. And then they gave you the white Jesus for a reason. The sun, the new worship, the sun, Jesus, their time. And understanding why they're trying to marry us together now, because of them having to come back into melanin. There's a lot with that I got into. And that's what all that's about. But the slowing down of atoms so it can create elements to give us the physical material world where we are is what this is all about. So like who knows? As I say, we don't know what the fuck is out there. But it makes the most sense when you start doing the research. Yin and yang. Everything is about yin yang, positive, negative, to give you balance. Plain and simple. We talked about with the Matrix. That's why in the Matrix, the Oracle, she was black. The architect was white. She says she's the unbalance. He was the balance. They're giving you yin yang. I talked about this in Carbon, Melanin, the Matrix of Reality, whatever that video was. They're giving you balance right there. Balance is what it's all about. Everything is about balance. And that's why you got two hemispheres of the brain. This is why you got the subconscious and the conscious. This all to balance. We are basically two parts. You split down the middle. We're the same on each side. It's balance. Us coming together is the balance. Masculine, feminine energy, everything. So this is why they're on the whole fucking homosexuality thing and LBGTQ fucking with all that shit and everything like that. Promoting it because it's power. It's power in that. So regardless of how you feel or how disgusting you may think it is, when you understand the spiritual part of it, it's power in that shit. So it's understanding what's really going on. It's power in it. It's being understanding you being the two parts. Masculine and feminine. We all have a masculine side. We all have a feminine side. Don't matter if you man or woman. We got both sides. Dualistic energy, and we use it every day. Jehovah is a Mason. Jehovah's Witnesses is Freemasonry. Jehovah has nothing to do with nothing. No, Enki and Enlil is not real. It's the same as all the other stories, metaphorical stories to basically teach you about something. People never existed. Yeah, Saturn is meant to be that way, just like Satan. Satan is misleading, so is Saturn misleading. But it's giving you a lot with both. They're hiding a lot with it. So Saturn looked at as being evil is to keep you away from it. Just like Satan being evil is to keep you away from it. They don't want you knowing this shit. They don't want you knowing what this information, which is why they changed all that shit back in the day. Remember, them getting rid of alchemy and voodoo and everything like that. It's the same. They hid all this shit. As I said, it's the reason why the Torah, the Bible, Quran is on the Masonic altar. Best place to hide something is in plain sight. And they hiding all that stuff. The fact that we can even correspond Judaism with Saturn should tell you something right there. Rest in peace, Jordan Maxwell. Jordan Maxwell was the best at pitching that Saturn information. He put out a lot with that. But he himself was doing what he had to do and put out the information. A lot of it is good, but a lot of it is misdirection. The one who really gave us the most before he died was Manly P. Hall, I talked about before. Manly Palmer Hall gave us a lot of truth, man. He didn't give a fuck. It was like he was saying, fuck y'all. I'm going to talk my shit before I die, because he knew he was on his way out. But yeah, Manly P. Hall and Helena Petrola Blavatsky gave us so much. Aleister Crowley gave us so much information to take in. And of course, it's going to be wrapped around Satanism and spooky shit to keep you away from it. plain and simple. That's what it is. No, Blavatsky didn't make it up, and Blavatsky tells you she's going off of the information we get from Plato, which Plato said he got from the Egyptians. So, like I said, it goes back to that same principle. The fact that this is talked about so long ago, like, and then for somebody to even ask the question tells you that it was being talked about around that time, as far as like Lemuria, Atlantis, or what have you. So again, why would they make that up back then? Like, who would even know what you're talking about? So, you got to start looking at that. We so wrapped up in this new age, this new world, and social media that it's fucking with critical thinking. And this is why I don't fucking watch TV too much except for sports if I'm betting, whatever like that. Because that shit will scramble your brain. Critical thinking is at an all-time fucking low, man. Seriously. Like, you got to think critically. Like, especially back then, there's no reason to invent this stuff. When they did, like, stories, they did plays. And everybody knew it was a play. And again, as I said, you just go back to the Geneva Bible and understand at that time, the Bible was left up to interpretation. And these people actually wrote and put footnotes in there to basically try to understand what these passages was talking about, because they knew it was parables, and it was left up to interpretation. And people, that was like a thing, people trying to decipher the meaning of it. And they used to have meetings. I just said this in the last live. They had meetings about it, and then they stopped that shit. The church stopped it and would kill anybody that had the meetings again. So Blavatsky was going off the information that she got, before her. Hold on 1 second. Hoop Daddy, smart man. Luca, what's the deal from Italy? Yeah, but like that's what is this? Lexi. The sun's gonna blow up. Everything is gonna go with it at the end. Says who? Like, who knows if that's really gonna happen? So we don't know. Like, again, like, don't like we don't know what the fuck is out there. We don't know what's out there. And NASA has been proven time after time again to give us false information and bullshit. So in my flat Earth video, I showed you guys how they faked that shot being far away from Earth. We don't know what the fuck is out there. We don't know what anything they tell us out there is true or not. And so we don't know. As far as the sun blowing up and wiping out the solar system, we don't fucking know. We don't know what's going to happen. And anyway, we're going to be long gone. All of us going to be long gone before that happens. Anyway, because it's supposed to be like a fucking 100 billion years or something like that, or 2 billion years the sun is going to burn out. Yeah, we ain't going to be here. So yeah, I won't even dwell on that. Like, it's a lot of stuff that matter, and information is the biggest thing that does. Yeah, poor Mike. I know. Oh, Mike, poor. I know everybody is saying that Trump shit. Like, he's Revelations and is representing end times and him being wounded or what have you. Like, yeah, I mean, they know what they're doing. But the point about that was it was all staged. But we know they're trying to make Bible prophecy come true. Yeah, Michael Hinton. Yeah, that's a good point. They didn't have chapters. and all that. The manuscripts was written, as I talked about in That's God video. All those manuscripts was written in scripto continua. It was no book, chapter, and verse. We got that later on. Scripto continua was everything was just on, was straight across. All the words was bunched up. So when I read in Greek from the Codex Sinaiticus, you see how it was when I was reading from that manuscript. Everything is bunched up. So it was no, that is now. This is why I say to you guys, like, the King James Version was written for a reason. And it's to correspond with this Masonic shit that's going on and them being the people that's operating all this. So understand how when they read the Bible, they use the Masonic square and compass. I talked about this in the last video. That's how they're reading it, because the reason why when you look in your Bible, it's these, you got two columns, right? But if you use a square and compass, you can from book, chapter, and verse, you can make out messages, or you can read it in the Masonic way, and that's how they read it. So it ain't a coincidence that we have it in that way, and it's corresponding with the square and compass. That's their logo for a reason. That's how you read these books correctly, or their way, which I know how to do. The four humans having to do with portals is because of liquid. I'm gonna get in more on that, because that's a good question. And portals would be liquid, yeah, if you understand the metaphor. Stargate. Remember I talked about in I forget what video that was. I think it was Mystery School, about on Stargate. Remember when they first opened the Stargate in the movie Stargate? What came out of the Stargate? Fucking water. Big ass water came out, and then there's a liquid when they walk through it. And yet four humans are liquid, so they're giving you that understanding. But it's more to that, which I'll get into. It's too much to get into now. Who said, was it Michael Hinton? Who said we came from a single cell organism? Who said that? If, if you believe in evolution, then yeah, you need to go rethink that whole thing. So if you believe in a single cell organism crawled from the primordial soup and gave us fucking fish and turtles and fucking dinosaurs, you should rethink that theory. Like, we don't come from a single cell organism. We are way too complex to be brought up from a single cell organism. When to make the woman and then give her the ability to reproduce is so complex. The brain alone, if you know anything about anatomy, the body, physics, it's complicated. So you can look at it on an animalistic way and say they might have evolved from a single cell organism, or fish at least, but us, hell no. How do you know you're real? Morpheus, what do you say? How do you define real, right? Real is what we think we can touch and see or what have you. That's what we define as real. But again, that's electrical signals interpreted by the brain. So what is that electrical signal? That's the spirit. That's us. And then, as I said, consciousness creates this energy. Energy creates this atoms and creates elements to give us the physical world. That's all we know, and what we say is real. But what is real? What is real? It's what we say is real. It's physical. But physical comes from something that's energetic. So what's real, the physical or the energetic? What's more real? If the energetic created the physical, right? It was there first. So it's how you going to define real, or what's real to you? It's a word that we invented to make us feel like that this is what it is, when it's not. Your energy is the real. That consciousness is the real. This is physical shit that was here to help us fucking basically train our real. Yeah, to read your natal chart, you got to know what time you was born. And I forget what video. On my video when I was in Chichen Itza, I talked about that. I think what is that video? I forget what video that is. But when I was in Chichen Itza in Mexico, I did that with the natal chart because I did my natal chart when I was there. I'll get in to that more. I have no idea how the Great Pyramid was built in Egypt. What? Michael P. Hinton debate what topic? Evolution? I have a whole video that crushes the whole thing already on here. So what video was that? So with evolution one, you got to look at the evolution chart they give us. And as I talked about in the video, you got to remember there's a missing link, right? So one, they can't tell us what that missing link is. So everything after primates, which is a Homo australopithecus afarensis or africanus, if everything after that, how would they even know? Because we kind of stop at this missing link, and they tell you when you look at the Smithsonian, they'll tell you that we didn't evolve from this missing link. We didn't evolve from primates. We share a common ancestor with primates, but they can't tell you what that common ancestor is. So understand, we or primates and this common ancestor came together to create us, right? They skip over that and then they give you the Asian Homo erectus and the Homo erectus, and then they give you Homo heidelbergensis, and they give you Neanderthal, and they give you Homo sapien, right? How would they fucking know if they can't tell you what the missing link is? You understand? Like, there's no way they should know that. And if they can tell you all of those exist, as well as what came before, then they should be able to tell you what the missing link is. They should know what it is. There's no way. Okay, we did we had sequencing of our genome, the human genome, and we found out we made of all these animals, platypuses and everything and what have you, all these genes. So how can they find this way to isolate and tell you which one is the eyeball out? What gene is that missing link from that sequencing? But they don't tell us that. And then just the fact that how complex the brain is, and how complex we are. And then this is the biggest one, consciousness. You can't evolve consciousness. So they tell you there had to be the creation. Because why don't these animals have our consciousness? You understand? So if evolution is happening and it's going on, so evolution would be, things getting better. It's what? Are you serious? It's that we will be within the same DNA stretch versus a fucking fish and a turtle and a dinosaur. How you get that? It don't make sense. So evolving from a single cell organism is the dumbest shit I heard when you understand just the chart and how all this shit came to be. And it's just no way. That's just too much going on. You understand? It's like, okay, how do you get a liger? You got to have a fucking tiger and a lion come together. Do we see ligers in the fucking evolution chart? How did they come together? They had to come together to create a liger, right? So it will be just like a liger appearing out of nowhere from a turtle. You understand? So just giving you got to understand that some type of creation had to happen to create us. And a single cell organism is just like, is way off. Let me see. If y'all hear that's the AC, I'm sorry. It's a little loud. I'm trying to keep this shit on. Yeah, I'm going to do a group tour with members for Egypt. Like the new museum they opened in Cairo is the reason why I'm going back. And excuse me, I already have a trip planned coming up, and it's just Uh, some of my friends, people who I know, and some of my top followers on YouTube. Some of the people who've been with me from the beginning, people who I know and talk to. So I'm going to do a trip with these people first, and then we'll see how that goes. And then I'll probably do something where I'll let you guys know. I'll probably take like 20 people or something like that. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm doing a tour. It's kind of more like a research, but a tour, I guess, coming up. And I'm hitting a lot of spots. So Dubai, Egypt. I want to go to Easter Island. Where else? Um, what else we had? Oh yeah, back to Thailand, of course. Cambodia. There's a couple spots. I found it's a big trip. I was supposed to do this before. I was scheduled to do this. Then Corona hit, and then everything been fucking crazy since Corona. So yeah. Yeah, it's real possible that what's the name? Broderick. Yeah, America being the true ancient land, because like I said, if you ever flown East Coast to West Coast during the day and looked out that window, you fly over so much empty space. And then you got to look at how big America is. That map they show us, we don't fly like that map. We don't fly like that. And we don't, and it's hard to know which way we actually really do fly, to be honest. But we know we pass a lot of empty space, and you got to just think of how much empty space is out there, what's down there. It's a way, like we have highways and routes that they made for a reason, and those highways and routes and civilizations is there for a reason and keep you away from certain parts. But when you fly, you can't hide that shit, and it's a lot of empty land that I look at and I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like when you really fly across Pennsylvania, like Philadelphia, where I'm from, is cooped up in a little bunch of that area. You fly across so much empty space before you get to Pittsburgh. And it's like the cities and towns we live in, it's just crumbled up like in a little part of that land. And then the rest of it is like, who knows what's there? We don't know if shit is underground or what. So that's a good question. Yeah, I broke that down in Saturn, Satan. Saturn is the god of this world. That's what it's telling you. And because Saturn is Satan, the Bible tells you that Satan is the god of this world. They're telling you it's Saturn. So as I said, like I put in Saturn, Satan final, as you can see, all that shit, everything is the culmination of Saturn. All the shit we've been watching and being duped over the years goes back to Saturn. And I broke that down in Saturn, Satan final. And like I said, I had to leave those parts out, as you see how it makes sense now for that one. So yeah. Yeah, Apple is like, well, now Apple has loosened their policies on new apps. So I'm gonna have once I get the site where I want it at, all the updates and everything that's going on, I'm gonna have another go at the app because I took it down off the Google Play Store because we're changing everything. So I have somebody that's doing it for me. So I'm gonna have them both in for Android and iPhone soon. That's the goal, since now iPhone is allowing it. And the problem with iPhone and the apps is in-app purchases. Like you can't, they want a piece of every fucking thing you do. If you put the app up and you sell something, they want to cut. They want everything in-house. And like so basically you have to be this big ass fucking major company that can afford to do everything in-house and not have any fucking other people helping you sell shit. I got to be all in-app, all you, and not go out to a different link or source. They have to be all within that app. So that's what we're working on. So I can get it for iPhone and Android. Once again, I think Android's starting to do the same thing. Yeah, so yeah, the evolution thing is just like is way off. But what evolution theory is giving you is the fact that they use these animals to make up our body. So like I said, as I showed you guys, you can look at a fucking gorilla's hand and look at your hand. That shit looks the same, plain and simple. It's the same. You look at that shit, it's crazy. The eyes, it's not a coincidence. So we can see that. And as I talked about with the DNA, when we look at the DNA being similar, except for where the primate DNA is locked off, it's coded to be done, so they can't evolve no more. Ours is coded to grow, to be able to be unlocked one, but to be able to grow and change more, which is the deepest shit ever. Yeah, man, y'all don't understand. That shit is so complicated. I'm gonna start getting into videos on DNA. I don't want to fucking bore nobody and like, I gotta try to explain it in a way to make sense to people, which I'm pretty good at that, so I'll do it. But when you understand DNA and then you look at our shit, it's fucking mind-boggling. It's like, what the? Then once you do that and then you understand physics, there is no fucking way around us not being created by somebody. We were created. Something created us. Our DNA is literally like a computer program. It's so deep. And it's programmed. And my whole thing is, how the fuck did they do this? One. And then it looks as if they can fucking program us from our foods, right? And then like sugars is a big deal. And then like, from these little shots and vaccines and all the shit they giving us over time now can change your fucking DNA. That's why all this shots, vaccines, and all this shit is going on while we in that time now, because they're changing the DNA again. So who knows how they did it before? But it was changed. It definitely was changed. It's coded to grow, but it's locked off. And to unlock that DNA, who fucking knows how? It's supposedly a way to do it within yourself, and but who knows? It's what Lucy, the movie Lucy, is getting into. Her unlocking 100% of the brain, which you can unlock the DNA then, and then what happened when she did that? She fucking disappeared, but her consciousness remained, and she was fucking making physical shit from her consciousness. If you didn't see Lucy and you call yourself conscious, you ain't conscious. Make sure you see fucking Lucy, because that movie is one of the biggest fucking things out there, giving you so much information as far as consciousness and understanding what's going on with us. The fact that she disappeared, one, and then she was consciousness, creating matter and stuff, like, come on. That's like, I gave that movie a standing ovation after I finished watching it, because they killed that. That's a good movie. All right, yeah. So make sure you guys grab Saturn Satan. I gotta go because my time is up. Grab Saturn Satan Final. I appreciate everybody who grabbed it. A bunch of people grabbed it during this live stream. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'm gonna do another live stream. I'm gonna give you guys more heads up next time. I had to do this fast because I really wanted to get into, even though it wasn't fast, I'm sorry, for a couple hours. I really wanted to get into what was going on with Merkabah Academy, because so many emails about people having that issue. WordPress is going to fix it. As I said, just do the steps as far as clearing browser cache, reinstalling Google Chrome, restarting your computer, trying Firefox or Internet Explorer. I think Safari it works fine on. So those are the steps I can recommend for now. If you're a Never Pay Again member, you already have access if you're on the site. And also, if you got the $9.99 video, in that download, when you go back to that download link, you'll see Saturn Satan Final, you'll see Stock Market Final. That's why I had you guys do that, so I can keep giving you guys videos if there's an issue. So check that out. If you got issues beyond that, send me an email. And yeah, I'll be back on here. I got a video I'm posting tonight, a new video. So I'll post it if I have time, but it's a new video tonight. And yeah, a lot more. Thank you guys for joining me on the live stream, and thanks for all the questions. Sorry I can't answer them all, but I'll be back. Peace. Love y'all.